Close, distance, no popping.
Yeah, you should be good. You can go a little bit closer, but
okay.
All right, we're back.
Here we go. Remove my big black.
Yeah, there's no more big. There's no more cover.
There's no more cover.
We're back.
Oh gosh. Hi everyone. Okay. I have no notes.
No,
I've given Justin plenty of warning before this. I said, I'm not writing notes. Don't let me forget to say this.
Yeah.
We got a number of things we can talk about.
Little Oak Weekly.
Little Oak Weekly. And we didn't miss a week this time. We were here last week. So we have an NDP government.
Yep.
There is still, so right now they have 40, as of like the most latest news article I can see, there's a recount going on Surrey, Guildford, separated as of yesterday by 27 votes. So there's been a recount ordered. So
do those change anything though?
Yeah, it's a big deal because I think right now the NDP has 46 seats locked in. Conservatives, I want to say, have 44, 45, but you need, the big number is 47. You need 47 for a majority. And it's looking like they're going to get a majority. It's not confirmed for sure. Everything okay here?
Yeah, I was just checking the levels. So we're good.
Yeah. We're good. We're good. So whatever. We don't need to talk about politics anymore. I think you can see by the expression on my face, I'm not very happy.
Roll with it.
Really wanted to see a change in BC government, but it looks like we've got probably a slim majority or a minority, and who knows what can happen. But the reason I brought that up first is because that there is a connection to something I wanted to discuss today, is that everyone's familiar with the provincial laws, I'll say, or mandates that were set out around density for cities. Right. Remember, like in the last sometime, I don't even know, in the last year, BC government comes out and says, there's no more single family zoning. Everybody can have, you can have a duplex and you can have a fourplex. And, you know, they pissed basically all the municipalities off because they are stripping power away from the municipalities, forcing municipalities to redo their official community plans. Sorry, my nose is incredibly itchy. I'm just going to keep doing this while we're talking. And so that's been going on in the background now for the last 6 to 9 months. And at various parts of transitionary neighborhoods within municipalities, there's talk going on like, oh, are we going to get higher density? What are we going to get to? What is it going to look like? And of course, it's created a lot of unknowns. And in our own market, you've seen agents in the Fraser Valley advertising properties as if they're going to be something. And every time I see that, I don't know how these people can do this, because this is not fact yet. Nothing's been solidified. Yes, the BC government has said we want everybody to be allowed to have a triplex or a fourplex in traditional single family lots with a minimum square footage of, you know, a number of feet. But this has been given to the cities where they go, cities, come back to us by the end of 2025. That's the deadline. With your new official community plans that say, here, look at us, province. We've now given homeowners the ability to do this, right? So there's a long runway. There's a ton of unknowns, but here's how it's related to the election. I'm not going to say any names because I can't say any names, but I have firsthand information from a number of municipalities in the Lower Mainland that all of these cities were waiting around for the NDP to lose. Because then they were going to be able to go, oh,
thank God,
enough of that crap. Let's move on and do our job the way we want to do our job. So the fact that the NDP is now won means that the municipalities actually have to get to work
by the end of the year
and implement this
next year.
So most municipalities are in nobody's at stage 3. They're at, you know, stage 1 or 2 of new official community plans where they're, you know, reviewing their zoning bylaws and trying to figure this out. And it's like, I don't want to make it sound like it's all bad. Like, you know, the fact of the matter is a number of OCPs probably needed to be updated anyway, but it's a bit of a nightmare because you've got a lot of opposing forces and egos at the table. And now we've got this magic game of tug of war going on.
What was the end goal? What was the hope that this would do?
Well, in the face of, you know, lack of affordability. I mean, I'll just say it from my perspective. The government was trying to buy votes and look good by throwing the city's planners under the bus, saying, you guys have done a crappy job and that's why life's unaffordable. And so we're going to come in to save the day and be able to tell all the residents of BC that we're going to make housing more affordable because we're going to allow people to go higher density and create fourplexes.
But what does that still requires somebody to build it or actually do it, right?
Oh, if you want me to shoot holes in it, I can shoot holes in it. I was wondering. Okay. Great question, Justin. Yeah. It's not logical because I mean,
originally when it all came up, this idea was like, at least because I don't pay as much attention as you do, I thought it was just like, hey, if you want to have a suite in your house, now you can have a suite in your house.
It's far beyond that.
Interesting.
So the fact of the matter is if you want to have a suite in your house now, anybody can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
The concept of like legal and illegal suites. Don't worry, David, I'll be careful the way I talk about this. It's no municipality would be able to enforce an unauthorized suite and say like, you can't have that anywhere in the context of what's going on, except if there's a danger, like if somebody has a fire risk or whatever, obviously. But the idea of like suites not being allowed anymore, that's gone. Dodo bird, dinosaur, dead. Everybody's going to be able to have a suite in every location. That's not.
Does that affect taxes though? Like
depending on how the municipalities have handled it in the past. Yes. So like, most communities would say, okay, you want to register to have a legal suite. We're going to add this amount onto your taxes. But if we were to just like take a random sample of 1,000 basement suites in any community, I would guess that like half of them aren't registered or more, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's more than half.
So whatever. It was a system, we've been operating in an old system that's no longer relevant for today's world.
Right.
Fact of the matter is, you can't restrict a homeowner from having a suite in a home anymore. You could 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you can't do it anymore today. So you're going to have suites, but that's not really the conversation. The conversation is focused around triplexes, fourplexes, and that's different.
Are we talking though empty lots? Like, are we thinking
okay. So imagine, I know where you live. Don't worry, I won't say the street. We don't want people to know. But like, yeah, that's right. Just imagine at your house at 4574. Like in the event that there was a network shutdown, you needed to get a hold of Justin. That's right. So where you live up like McMillan area of Abbotsford. So just imagine next year, an older home on your street, someone wants to do a reno, maybe it burns the ground, whatever. And like a fourplex gets built there instead of a house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. But the problem is this. So in theory, you go like, this sounds amazing. We need to make more housing for people. But like, there's like basic questions of like parking.
Yeah.
That's a challenge. And let's just say we can get around the parking because like, we can probably figure it out in some neighborhoods. The real issue is like, how many people can we have pooing and flushing the toilet on the street? We don't have the sewer load. Like everything needs to be upgraded if we're going to start adding that many more toilets, that many more bathrooms, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
So there's all the province has no plan for this. They aren't responsible for this.
Well, especially because they don't
run the sewer down the street. So you can imagine why city planners up until the election were like,
please don't win. Exactly.
And so, and like I said, I know for a fact, like I've spoken to some people under, anonymity or in a couple municipalities in particular where like they in no way thought that the NDP were going to get a win. And so they were basically just pretending to work on this for the last few months. And then if the Conservatives had won, it's just like, okay, move on, let's get back to work. And the Conservatives would have had to address it, but they certainly would have put their own spin on it. And the general consensus is that it would have been far different from what the NDP has been doing. Now, you get an NDP win. I mean, David Eby, he went from like running a huge majority to winning currently by 27 votes. That's the difference between a minority and a majority. And so he now has to walk on eggshells because he's been told loud and clear that half the province doesn't like him, doesn't want him. He doesn't have he's not going to have the same bravado he had, but he does still have a majority as of today. And now he's going to, this is actually, the beauty is this, he's going to have he's going to have to walk out this terrible idea he came up with. Like he rolled this out a year ago and said, this is what we're going to do. the nightmare that's about to ensue between the municipalities and the province in the actual practical application of this, I mean, I still think that this is the end of the NDP. Like, we're probably going to have another election, 6 months, 12 months from now, whatever. I mean, who knows? I could be wrong, but I think that this is the beginning of the end for them. And I actually think this piece might be one of the nails in the coffin. Because he's going to either have to double down and go full Trudeau and just like not back down on anything. I mentioned Trudeau because, of what Trudeau's dealing with right now. We don't want you. I'm still the leader. He's either going to have to do that and just keep doubling down, or he'll have to eat his words and walk it back. Right. Either way, it's not going to look good. And anybody with any kind of political mind will be able to take advantage of that if that happens.
What is their thing if you don't have it done by the end of 25?
Well, that was the deadline that he gave when he rolled out this ingenious plan.
But what's the
deadline?
Or else?
Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out, Justin. there is nothing. I mean, there's nothing. They're like, what are they going to do? What are you going to do? Arrest the mayor? Yeah. Like, I mean,
make one for them.
Start arresting citizens who don't put fourplexes. Like, nothing. This is the way it works. There is no. This is all for political pandering and votes. They can't do anything.
Interesting.
But this is where, though, we're going to start to see the insanity of what he decided to do, because one does just not walk into a city hall and start to mandate how things happen. Right. Like anybody who's ever interacted with a city hall from a developer perspective, a realtor perspective, like whatever stake you have in the game. Yeah. That you don't walk in and start telling people what to do.
No, you're on your knees.
You're on your knees. You got to make friends. You got to like this moron thinks like, well, we're just going to tell everybody that they got to build fourplexes. You're an idiot. He's an idiot. And now we get to watch the idiot try to roll this out for the next 12 months. And it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. But holy cow, we're tangenting on that. So, now the municipalities have to get to work on this. And they're at the very beginning stages. They've done, the majority of them, is they've not even, like, they've had public consultations, which most of the public doesn't even know about because people don't pay attention. And it's going to be like sometime in the spring that you start to see these municipalities roll out conceptual ideas to the public. So you're going to see this right across, the province, but the Lower Mainland. You're going to see, like, every municipality is going to have their own way of doing this, but they're going to have public meetings. We're going to say, hey, public, here's what we're thinking. And it's going to be a reworking of the official community plans in neighborhoods. And
can they build those community plans, though, and not choose to, like, okay, you can have fourplexes everywhere?
Well, you can come up with an official community plan and put all the bright colors over it and tell everybody how it's going to be amazing parks and this and that. But at the end of the day, the economic viability of your plan will drive and determine whether or not it gets fulfilled. Right. So I'll use a classic example of a community that, I'm obviously very familiar with, being Abbotsford, because I live here. So in our last official community plan, they came up with something called Urban Infill 3, which was, and if Shinder, if you're watching this, I hope you do, Shinder, then you're gonna like this, because Shinder and I have discussed this at length. So they come up with this stupid new zone where they say you can chop these lots up in these particular neighborhoods and we can make small lots, and we're going to let everybody, like, everyone's now going to be able to cash in on the value of their large lot, which in concept you go like, that's awesome, right? Until you read the fine print. And the thing that these morons got wrong is they started to restrict people to a point where it did not make economic sense to build the homes that they were purporting should be built in this kind of zoning. And it all comes down to FSR, which is the ratio of what you can construct in relation to the size of the land. Right. So if you let people chop lots into 3,000 square foot lots, but then you restrict the FSR to 0.4. Okay. So now we're saying, like, that's, what is that? 15, not even 1,500 feet of buildable area above grade. You can't build a proper house. Yeah. Like, you can't do that. Nobody wants, well, who wants that? Now you're a townhouse.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a house and it's on a lot, but I get a townhouse. And how am I going to squeeze a basement suite and enough bedrooms in there? You can't do it. So that's an example of how the city screwed up on the last OCP. Great idea. Let people subdivide. Somebody who doesn't understand the marketplace came up with a dumb idea of crappy FSR on these small lots. If you had have had that same design, but said, we can do 0.6 or 0.7 FSR, that would have been the, like, there's a lot of neighborhoods in Abbotsford where they're in the urban infill 3 and people have tried to sell like, oh, urban infill 3, look what you can do here. Nobody wants them and you can't sell them. You want to know why? If you actually go through and build those houses right now, you can't sell them into the marketplace. Nobody wants them. So this is that's an example of how there can be a terrible idea in an OCP, put all the time and thought into it. But if you got people making decisions who don't have their fingers in the marketplace, at the end of the day, a consumer dictates everything. Right. So we can have an area in a community where it's like, oh, look at, we got incredibly dense zoning. We can build 30-story towers. Fantastic. Everyone's won the lottery. Okay. So let's look at what it costs to build the tower. We need to sell the tower at $1,400 a foot in order for a developer to make money. Uh-oh, we got a problem.
That's not going to happen.
The market only yields $900 a foot. Okay, well, doesn't matter where your official community plan says, ain't nobody building that right now. So market will dictate what gets done, but generally speaking, you're going to see every community increase density along major corridors. They're going to expand downtown cores. Probably some of them will come up with new zonings altogether. But then you still have this, the elephant in the room is, in David Ebby's words, there will be no more single family zoning in British Columbia. We cannot afford to have that. That is his quote, not mine.
Really?
So there will not be a neighborhood where someone says like, well, I want to live in a neighborhood where I can build a house and I want to know in that neighborhood that's just one family living in that home. That, according to him, is gone. Plus the introduction of whatever they're going to do with triplexes and fourplexes and whatever, and nobody knows. Fun
Interesting.
Times. Very fun times.
Guess we'll see.
Can you imagine you live in like whatever, your neighborhood?
I would lose my mind.
All of a sudden you have a fourplex.
That's scary.
And your neighborhood would, by the way, because those lots are bigger.
So you would, my neighbor,
you would 100% have
lots,
a,
and I already know he would do it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Yep. Sorry, I'm turning my phone off. There, we'll just turn it upside down.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, that was rant one, tangent one. We can't. I don't see. I didn't write notes. I'm going to forget all the other things we were supposed to talk about.
Well, you let me know when you need me to kick in and tell you where you're going next. Maybe you have a.
Okay, you do something.
Well, you were going to talk about training, but like, do you have other tangents?
That I don't want to talk about the government anymore. I hate David Eby.
Other tangents.
That's it. We're done. I can't do this anymore. Yeah. Well, okay. We'll change gears.
Yep.
So we've been doing boot camp. Boot camp's been going great.
Yep.
We started. I did the start. Ray did the middle. Ray did a couple sessions in the last couple weeks.
Yep.
I'm coming up again
next week.
So this coming week. So we're doing this post Halloween, but the training is Wednesday. What day is that?
6th,
5th, 5 or 6.
I'll pull it up, but it's at 10 a.m. 10
a.m. And where am I starting?
Abby.
So
on the 6th.
So Wednesday, the 6th, 10 a.m. Yeah. Here's what we're doing. So I'm going to be doing the same session again, the 2 weeks later, not the following week, 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later. I think it's in Surrey on the Tuesday.
That will be on the 19th.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, we've got our 7 pillars we've been talking through. Ray talked about the importance of managing the money and
multiple streams
of revenue. I'm going to be expanding on mastering communication, and then with a special focus on storytelling and how to use storytelling, and then what it means to have a database-driven business.
Yep.
So I'm very passionate about these topics. I've got lots of great things to share. I want everyone who's interested or keen to come out. So that's Wednesday, Abby. 2 weeks later, we'll do kind of the same session. I'll redo it so you can come twice if you want to hear it again, or people who are out in kind of like the South Surrey area. If you don't want to come out to Abby, you can come out to the Surrey office. And then the other thing that this is going to lead into is timing wise, now we'll be at, like, by the time I do the second session, it'll be third week of November. We're getting into business planning season. And so I'm probably going to like touch on some concepts of business planning in these sessions, not with the intent of, business planning is its own separate thing, sure. But there's certainly a setup that's going to be discussed. And what I'm going to say to those that are in the sessions is that here's some takeaways, some things to think about, work on in preparation for business planning. And we're going to be tackling that in the latter part of November and the first part of December. So, this is like, it starts today. I know we're still in 2024, but 2025 starts now. And, we've had a really, really challenging market in 2024. Things are going to be better in 2025. And
you want to be ready.
You want to be ready. The market's going to be working more in our favor next year than it did this year, but that is not a reason to sit back and do nothing.
Well, you don't want to start figuring it out in January or February. You want to be ready to go.
No, heck no. You want to have your plan done now so that you can kick your feet up at Christmas time and actually relax and feel good about when you hit the ground running on December or January the 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever it is. You're good to go. So I'm very excited about these sessions. PDP accredited. They're going to be high value. I promise you, if you come out, you will have your brain expanded in a way that it has not been before on these topics. I speak from experience. I take anecdotes from others who have done really, really well in these areas, and I'll certainly do my best to teach it in a way that is tangible and applicable. So
I'm going to throw out that there's a training session happening that we won't be publicizing, but it'll be on Tuesday next week in Surrey with David, contract training.
Oh,
yep. So it's focused on the mastery group.
But anybody, because he's doing contract training, anybody can come.
It is. Yep. We're just not putting it out there as like an official training thing.
Got it.
If you're wanting to catch up with David and get,
so that's Tuesday the 5th.
That's Tuesday the 5th. That's at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
There you go.
It'll be good. We're not putting it out there, as a big thing, but it'll be good value.
And he's probably going over some updated clauses.
He's basically working through, like, how do you use our contracts?
Yeah.
How do you properly use the Little Oak and North Star contracts in order to make sure that you're covering your ass? And David's good at that.
He is good at that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the training piece. Why don't you I wanted to get you to speak for a second about just touch on what's gone on. You've updated some systems and things like that.
So we got, it sounds silly, but printer wise, we're all set up now across all of our offices so agents can print wherever they want. North Star is now part of that network, so everybody's all connected. And if you use a Mac, I got to help you. But if you use a Windows device, you can literally go into any of our offices and any of the staff can add any of the printers from any office at any time. So the way we have our systems set up now is very interconnected within the offices, so agents aren't stuck.
So practically speaking, just to be clear, you're sitting at your home in Chilliwack and you can print something to the Surrey computer.
No, in one of our offices.
In one of the networks. Yes. Sorry. If you're on the network, if you're in the Abbotsford, Surrey, Langley, whatever, White Rock, as long as you're on the network, you can print to any computer at any time.
Yes, that's right. And you can be added to any printer as well. So that we don't, we have issues where agents want to go between offices. Maybe you're going to the Fort Langley office or whatever. We can set you up to print to any of them. If you have a Mac, like I was helping Trevor this morning, you got to go through me for a Mac because Macs are stupid. And
do we get people like disability stickers? If they, do we stick it
on the back?
Stick it on the computer.
Macs just don't like those printers. But the good thing is you don't have to be with me as long as you're in an office and we meet up. Trevor today was all done remote, and I was able to add him to all of the printers he wanted to be able to add to print to. So we're set up well. It works very well. So you can bounce between offices and networks all work the same. Everything's good. So
yeah.
We have some phone changes coming. We're going to be upgrading the phone system. One of the things with phones nowadays is companies have moved away from physical. We have to move into the digital age, unfortunately. Yeah. And stuff's being phased out. So we have a big phone upgrade coming to all of our offices. And it's going to be really good from a brokerage standpoint with regards to how we can deal with calls and get calls directly to agents, being able to text agents when stuff's going on. So that's coming. I haven't sent the email out yet. So if you're listening to this, you get it a little bit beforehand, but that's coming before the end of the year. So it'll be sometime in end of November, December that we'll be rolling it out. So
cool.
It's going to be
good. One more thing I want to pull out of you, just some questions and data, just because I know this is relevant to some of our people. So I would say we probably have 60 to 70 agents now that are utilizing the websites or CRMs.
Sphere. Yep.
Sphere. These are free tools, or $11 a month if you choose to upgrade your website to more customizable. But I mentioned that because we still have people that we're aware of who are spending hundreds of dollars a month on either CRMs or website services like Avenue. I'll just pick on Avenue, but Avenue is like $200 to $300.
Avenue HQ, we need to talk. I've said
$200 a month, or how much?
That's their base level was just upgraded to, or I'd say upgraded. The price was upgraded to $200 a month.
Yeah.
No increased services, just $200 a month. That is a monstrous waste of money. It's insane. Even if you want to have a website that you pay for. So if you don't want to go the Sphere route, which I can understand for some people, they want more customizable options. Send me an email, because you can get our deal with Realty Ninja and it's $60 a month. So like if you really, really want that customizable, whatever type of website, just spend less. I did have a conversation with an agent recently who was told something that I just want to sort of address, which is that the website should be the least of someone's concern. And if you can get a website through Sphere, pay the $11 for the vanity, you should be doing it. 100% you should be doing it. There shouldn't be much of a question to it, besides I can think of a few instances where it's not. The concern came up with control of the website, and is it truly yours? And my answer to that is buy a domain so you own it. Andrew owns andrewbracewell.ca. And always, always, always own your email. Those are the only two things you need to care about. Own your email and own your domain. The rest of it means nothing.
What we're saying is do not use your name at royallepage.ca. Just like we told people for years, do not use your name at remax.net or whatever the heck the thing was.
Yeah. You have them, they are there. And I will say with Royal LePage, you can at least just set it. It works like a normal Google account. You can forward it to yourself, and you can use that if you choose to. My suggestion is always to use something that you own, because there's freedom in that. And it's weird, I know, saying that from a brokerage standpoint, I've always felt a little bit odd, but the fact is you need to own it. You really do.
No, we would never, we actually would said this for years. We've told people this.
I've said it forever. Yeah.
There's certain things that as an agent, you should just have control of. Yeah. And so I can, I want obviously never to have the thought of anyone ever leaving us ever. Sure. But we know that life changes and whatever, and it's just responsible for every person to have their own email. Yep.
The reason I said that to this agent regarding web page is you can change a web page in 2 weeks and it will mean nothing. It will mean nothing. Unless you're some big person who's built up some massive SEO, then you'll have a 2-week hit on your SEO and it'll be back up to normal. But your email matters. It's like if you have your website shut off, you'll survive. Yeah. Because it'll be back up in 2 weeks as long as you own the domain. If you have your email shut off, you're done. Yeah. So just own the domain, own the email, and stop caring about the website. People put way, way, way too much thought and care into that side.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, so there was a conversation that was related to this in one of our last meetings. We were talking about Google reviews, and then Jesse Bragg had even asked about review numbers, how you get them, and how you get them. And so, and actually that reminds me, I wanted to follow up with Jesse on that. Jesse, if you're listening, we're going to talk about this. But whatever, I've been in this for a long time. There was a time when websites mattered more. Yeah. Because when, if you go back to 2005, when you would go online and search for whatever agent you're trying to search for, because the Google profiles didn't exist. So it was websites that came up. And if your website had the best SEO and the fanciest pages and whatever, then that was the thing that the consumer was using to judge you. That's not how they're judging you today.
Yep.
People, like the landscape has changed. Accessibility of information and what people use websites for. What do they use them for? They use them to search for houses. That's why the proof is in the pudding. If you go to like anybody or any website that's created websites for lead generation, the focus is on what's the user experience to view homes, because they know that's why the users are there.
That is why they're there.
But if somebody is going online to either look for a realtor, or let's just say what most often happens, you know, someone's heard about you and they want to vet you or whatever, or they're about to call you, the first thing that comes up is your Google profile.
Always.
So you can have the greatest website in the world
properly.
Well, exactly. So this is what I'm getting at. You know, if you want to spend time on something, save money on the vanity website, or, you know, putting the fancy pages in and whatever, drop that, put all your time, effort, and everything into your Google profile, try to build up your reviews and all of the other geography stuff that goes with it. And that works far better than any website.
And by vanity, you're meaning
I don't mean sorry, you want to have your name.
They call it a vanity domain in KV Core for your domain. So
have your name.com.ca, whatever you want. I mean vanity, like, you know, should I do blue or purple? Like, it just doesn't matter the same.
Get people to houses.
And I mean, I can remember 2000, like I remember building a website. Do you want to know how much I spent on the site?
I know how much.
I spent, I'm going to say, I'm very accurate here in my memory. I want to say it was like 11 or 12 grand.
Yep.
And this was not today's dollars. This was like 2009. It was a beautiful site. I remember people would call me, oh, Bracewell's got the nicest site. I love that site or whatever. Great, fine. Over time, it became worth less and less. And today, myself, I have the
Sphere account.
Sphere website. Does it look as cool and sexy as my old site? Does it have video and all these moving pages? No, it doesn't, but it doesn't matter.
It could.
Yeah, why? Sure.
But why?
Right. I don't care. And I'm doing fine without it. But what I am concerned about is my Google profile. And what I'm most concerned about is my business plan and how I'm communicating to my database on a regular basis. So let's not get distracted from what's the most important.
I agree.
And guess what? The people who are in your database, who are hearing from you regularly, they don't care if your website isn't the fanciest thing that they've seen. So anyways, there we go. We kind of full circled that one.
We got it. Yep.
We got it. Okay. I want a little recap here on some stats and data, because I've discovered something that I thought was interesting. So if we just go back to like 2 episodes ago, that was at the beginning of October. So now we're recording this November 1. Beginning of October, we said, oh, we're a few days in. Holy cow, month over month, we're up like 30 to 40%. And we referenced it last week in last week's episode. So here's an interesting thing that has transpired. Because now we can say, well, full month, what's happened. Now, keep in mind, this is November 1. There's going to be sales that get captured that haven't reported yet. So I find it interesting that we started off incredibly strong. We were up like 35%, 5 business days in. It looked like, holy cow, this is way different. Long story short, we tapered. Now, are we still up month over month? Yes, but we're literally up like 10%. So currently, as I look at this today, there was 1,218 sales in September, 1,319. So basically 100 more sales. So not even 10%. We're up like 8% or whatever that is. Now, there's going to be more sales that get reported for October yet. Bottom line is this, though. After 5 or 6 business days, we were up like 35%. We're not going to get anywhere near that. So I don't know what that means. It was weird. We started really hot numbers wise, a lot hotter than we had in quite some time. And then are we still up? Yeah, we're up, but it's not up by a measure that I would say like, oh, this is a sign of great change. And actually, this is the next piece of what I wanted to get at. This is the new thing I discovered. I thought, I wonder what a normal October and September are like relationship wise in terms of number of sales. I didn't know. Like I was like in a normal, I'm going to itch my nose again. In a normal like, is October
past years?
What would you guess? What would you say? What in normal
October to September?
10-year average, October, where is there more sales in what month? Is there more sales?
September.
And in what ratio, like, would you say, like, what percentage wise would September be more?
I would,
like, if there's 100 sales in September, how many are in October?
80.
Okay. You want to know what this is crazy. So in the last 10 years, I just went back 10 straight years, 9 of the years it's been the same trend. 1 year, it slightly bucked the trend. So that's fascinating. Of the 9 is October has more sales than September.
Really? By what percentage?
And October is up. I mean, it's like 5%. It's not much. It's tiny. So we're trending towards October having more sales than September this year. This is the part that was weird to me. It was like, oh, that's par for the course. That's not unusual. Are we going to be up more than the normal October is from September? Yeah, we are. Because we're probably going to be up like 11 or 12% by the time it's all said and done. Yep. And a lot of the Octobers, like, I went back all 10 years. So we got all different markets, right? We got 21, 22, and we also have like 2014, 15, 16, and 18, right? So 9 out of 10 times October had more sales than September. And then, and in the year that October didn't have more sales than September, it was basically like the two were identical. Like it was like flat line. So that was the anomaly. So I'm not ready to say that, we've had now 4 interest rate announcements. The last one was a 0.5 point. We've moved 1.25 points from, the peak. I don't see enough evidence that there's traction in the marketplace. Traction to a point where, like, I would consider we're going to have, right now we're reporting 1,300 transactions for October 2024, right? That's still on the low end of transaction numbers. I would say that, we would start to feel a difference if we were at like 1,700, maybe even 1,800 in a month. I don't think we're there yet. And now we're going into, November, December, January. Those aren't traditionally high sale months. But what I'm seeing, here's the other thing that happens. So the Bank of Canada, so you go back, whatever the announcement date was, I can't remember, it was a few days ago. In the day before the announcement date, a lender might have been offering a variable mortgage at prime minus 0.9. Okay. I'm using a generic story, but this is true for the purpose of the story. Bank drops their variable number, the Bank of Canada drops 0.5, which means variable rates should reflect that. Right. But what did the banks do the following day? Their prime rate drops according to what the Bank of Canada did. So their prime rates dropped 0.5. They changed their discounting. They went from discounting prime minus 0.9 to prime minus 0.6. So they claimed about 60% of the gain, and they didn't pass it on to the consumer. The consumer right now is not feeling the full effects of what the rate decreases have been. In the variable market, for sure, because of stories like that. Like, case in point, I have a prime minus mortgage right now. That's prime minus 1.3 that I held on to. I didn't change it. You haven't been able to get prime minus 1.3 in forever. So I'm starting to like my mortgage again. I didn't like my mortgage for a long time, but I told myself, stick it out. You're going to like, you have it. And I am going to like, I have it. But now you walk into a bank today, you might get prime minus 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, because they've been pulling back their discounting and not passing on all that to consumer. In the fixed world, the fixed rates started to come down like, a number of months ago. They don't react to Bank of Canada announcement rates in the same way. They react more to the bond market. And the bond market is kind of impacted more on a broader economic perspective. So can we see fixed rates come down potentially? Yeah, sure. But I think they're going to be a bit more sticky than we would like. And so all this is, and then yesterday we saw our GDP numbers, like our Canadian economic numbers suck. Like we are so far behind, you know, the US for sure. We're every time there's a forecast and a report comes in, we're behind it. So our economy sucks and rates are going to keep coming down. And all of this is I think great news in the big picture. Like if you talk about spring and summer next year, in the short term though, we have not found a place where the consumers have said, okay, I'm ready to roll. Let's go. It's a slow trickle. And I think we're, you know, as I said, as I've been quoted before, like I think we need to see sub 4% money, and we don't have sub 4% money yet.
What was where were you? You were just looking at a chart.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, you don't go anywhere fancy for stats, because I think a lot of people hear your numbers, and then I know Braden, he's a big guy into numbers and stuff too, but it's not like Andrew's
I'm not paying
stuff from
no.
This is all through every agent.
I go to now you have to be able to you have to be able to understand and read them. It's all there. There is things that you can subscribe to. This is the stats. This is the stat center on the whatever. But you actually, so I did a stats course.
Yeah.
Like I did one like probably last year.
We should do another one.
Yeah, we can do another one. It's like, yeah, they're all like, actually the stats that are available to us today through this, whatever they call this, the stat center or whatever. It's like way better than what it used to be. Yeah, it's fairly accurate and updated and live and whatever. I use this stuff like when I go in, well, yesterday I was in a meeting with a client yesterday, you know, they want to know what the place is worth. They're thinking about doing something in the spring. I don't even really like, I used to do a lot more of a package prep in it for like for a listing appointment.
Yep.
And I mean, there's times that I still want to do that, but oftentimes I'll just jump right into this live with them. Like we'll sit down at a table and it's like, you know, tablet, whatever you want, let's look through it. I actually find they enjoy that more. There is something too, there's a difference between looking, like if I come and meet with you and, you know, you want to talk about stuff, if I show you my prepared branded stuff, you could be going like, yeah, exactly. I'm just taking you right into the, you know, like I'm like, this isn't mine, guys. Like this is from the powers that be. This is what it says.
I think there's power though.
There's like a transparency in
understanding it when you do that, because for me, I love numbers. Like this stuff is my thing for sure. But when you understand it and you're able to talk about it live with somebody, I think there's huge value, because the fact is the numbers tell everything. So
actually where this, this whole little October conversation I just had, the way it came to be is, you know, a month ago I was going like, this is really interesting. We're starting off really, really fast. And then, you know, I'm going out every day trying to like figure out like, how do I have this conversation with people? What does it mean? Everyone's asking me like, is my place going to be worth more? And so yesterday afternoon, I'm sitting with a client and we're talking about the value of their place. And I'm, you know, the position we're in now is we're being asked to interpret like, what does the future hold? And I was then saying to them, guys, guess what? October was basically what we expect October to be, right? Based on what I just told you. 9 out of 10 of the last Octobers were up usually 5, 6, 7% volume of transactions. Right now we're up 8 or 9%. Maybe we'll finish at 10 or 11. It really wasn't that different. So that's relevant in the question of, have the interest rates done anything yet? I would say, no, they have not. And if they have, it's not enough to lose our minds over, right? Because in 9 out of the 10 years, we were up 5, 6% in October. I think for me to like go like, oh, this is serious change, we would have needed to see a few more transactions to say like, this is unusual. And I would say what we had right now, I don't know what to make of it. It was a small difference from what we would normally expect.
Cool.
Yep.
Sweet.
Did we forget anything else? Are we good?
I feel like we hit it all.
We talked about your, we talked about the technology stuff, come out to training.
Especially with you talking about like, you know, the hope is as we get towards money being under 4, which we'll probably see in the new year, hopefully. That's why you want to have your stuff ready to go.
I just had a thought. It was, I did want to touch on this. So, you know, yesterday I'm in a, this is related to what we were talking about, but I want to say it differently. So yesterday, like I'm in one of the situations that we're all in right now where someone's going like, well, it's, you know, you're meeting these people now, but the conversation is not what's our homework today. They're not going to market today.
Yeah.
They're going to market in March or February or whatever. So I was reminded in this conversation that, you know, we need to be equipped for these conversations. And the way to be equipped is, to your point, understand how to read the data, but then you have to formulate an opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like there's just nothing worse than meeting a professional in any field that just refuses to stick their neck on the line and like commit to something. Right. So I'm not going to, like, no one has to adopt the same opinion. You don't have to believe what I believe, but for crying out loud, you got to believe something. And you got to believe something that's based on data and you've interpreted the data. So I think all that to say, what the takeaway from, you know, my meeting yesterday and my conversation with these people, I did all of this. I went, you know, we looked at it October, 9 out of 10 Octobers, and here's the data and blah, blah, blah. And then it comes to, what do you think? And I mean, I made a, you know, I don't think it's a bold prediction, but I told them that in light of everything that we're seeing, in light of the fact that money is getting cheaper, I said a couple of things to them. I said, right now, the Bank of Canada rate's at 3.75. I said, by the time we get to March, if the over under was 0.75 down, I'm taking the over. I think we're going to be down at least 0.75, if not another full point by the time we get into spring next year. I think we might be coming down another 50 points in December. That's how shitty the economy is right now. So that was prediction one. Prediction two was, well, what's our, you know, let's establish what's a homework today. What do we think it's going to be worth? You know, like hypothetically March or whatever. If we believe, if a person believes that money's going to get that much cheaper, like if you think we're going to go down a point or more, then the pricing of a home can only go up, because one does not wake up and say, I want to buy a $1.2 million home. One wakes up and says, I can afford a $3,200 payment. If a $3,200 payment today is one thing and tomorrow it's another thing, guess what? The consumer is going to be willing to pay that tomorrow.
Right.
So, you know, I am suggesting right now, at least the way I'm thinking through this in my brain right now, is that I don't think it's crazy to see a 10% bump in values, because when you run the math on what 10% does, you have to figure it out, right? You got to go, okay, where was money a short while ago? Well, money a short while ago per $100,000 was actually almost $700 in terms of like where interest rates were at. We've come down to like almost down to $500, just bumping around, you know, in and around the 500 range, maybe a little over 500. We might be going down like another $100 at some point. That starts to make significant changes when you're talking about people carrying mortgages of $600, $700, $800, $900 grand, right? It's not $100, it's $800 or $900 or $1,000. So, see what I'm getting at? You got to work through all this stuff.
Did you go into that meeting knowing that they would probably wait till the spring to list?
I didn't know in this particular meeting. I honestly didn't know why I was going. I had moved these people into this home years ago, 2015, I think. And they just kind of, well, actually, thank you for asking, Justin.
I'm curious.
So you want to know how the meeting happened? I sent out my regular client update email.
Oh, really? Okay. Look at me asking the right questions.
Actually, yeah, you know, because you had known when I'd sent it out because I'd shot a video. And they were actually one of 3 people that reached out for a meeting.
Just to talk.
So it was, hey, Andrew, thank you so much. You know, whatever. I'd done an update on, you know, kind of, I did about a 2 or 3 minute video just talking about a lot of these things, updating people on what I thought. And then there was a call to action, invitation for a meeting. And they responded to the email like 2 days later and said, we'd love to get together. How's your next week? And here we are. So that's what that was. I didn't know what I was going into.
Interesting.
I didn't ask them like, what are we meeting about? I don't care. I know these people, right? And I sold them the home. So I went out, had tea. And as it turns out, they might be doing something in spring.
Cool.
Yeah. But you don't have that meeting if you don't send out the
masterful communication to your database driven.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see everybody on Wednesday.
Okay. Thanks.
Wrap it up.
See ya.
Bye.